Oh, I Googled myself last
Yeah.
night.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, I Googled David Keith Quigley, the real John Kennedy Jr., and all kinds of stuff came up. I mean, stuff that wasn't there, 6 months ago.
Oh,
But one of them said I have 6.5 million views on TikTok.
wow. That's something.
And then
Well,
Robin, I asked Robin to Google on her search engine, and one came up that said I had over 5 million on hers, on her TikTok. So it's getting out to millions. They're just not showing it.
it's getting out there, but they're not showing the true numbers, you know.
Right.
So, in the description, I have the new YouTube channel. And so we're asking people to subscribe to that and to share these videos around to build awareness. So we are live now. It's April 2nd already, which is mind blowing. Like, where did the year go already? But I'm here today with I'm calling you the original John F. Kennedy Jr. because someone is already using the real John F. Kennedy Jr. name. So welcome, John.
Yeah, I started that when I first started the real John Kennedy. So
Yeah,
they even stole my pictures and
yeah.
made fake accounts. It was funny. I had like at the time I had 20 or 30,000 followers on TikTok, and somebody started a fake account in my name with my pictures. They had 1,000 followers, but TikTok made me change my name on TikTok. It didn't make any sense at all because I was there, months before they were, but who knows?
Well,
Um,
we talked before about Q, and when Q first came out, they did this amazing commercial promotion, and it talked about like your the assassination of your dad, and it implied that you, the real John F. Kennedy Jr., was still out there and going to be coming out, and it implied as well that you would be, coming to save the people, basically, and like basically becoming vice president or whatever and saving the people. And it got great support. And there's even Telegram channels with your name. Obviously, it's
yeah,
not you.
it's
Um,
all it's all connected to Donald Trump's crime ring,
yeah,
all of it. They were all best buddies. John Jr. and Trump and all these, they all knew their crime ring. They all knew their committing identity theft to make all their money and everything. But they were just stealing my stories.
yeah,
But yeah, if you track them down, it's not hard. There's that guy Gene Ho on TikTok, but he actually has something to do with George Magazine. He named his magazine George after his real name and every
right.
other thing. But it all goes back, David Strait and the helicopter on Mount Rushmore and all the Q bullshit
Right.
straight up is Donald Trump Jr. It was Donald Trump Jr.'s helicopter they were on. So yeah, if murder's not murder, murder doesn't exist. But too many murders are trying to act like they don't exist, even all the way to my father.
Well, it's kind of a form of deflection because they're acting like they're going to come and save everyone, which we all want. We want someone to come and save us, right?
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be them. But we're all waiting, like you said in our first video, we're all waiting quietly, trusting the plan. Okay, it's
And the
been,
plan is a stall.
yeah,
The plan I've been trusting the plan since 1975 when my family members, when I saw my mother murdered and Aristotle had been murdered, my sister had been murdered, and they're saying there's nothing you can do. Just go with the plan. You'll be killed. Well, I've been going with the plan since 1975, and I haven't got my justice for these murders yet. So the plan is a bullshit plan. It's a stall so these criminals can go year after year after year without being exposed for all the corruption, all the identity theft that they're doing.
yeah. And when we talk about Trump, that I think is the biggest trigger. It's not that your identity's been stolen, your family's been murdered. You know what I mean? All the corruption. They're not worried about that. They're worried because we're saying Trump is not going to save them. That's what they don't like. And,
Yeah,
you know,
and they're huge supporters. They bought into the bullshit.
yeah, yeah,
I feel bad in my heart. I really do. I see, everywhere I go, I see Trump, Trump, Trump. I go down to the flea market down the street. They're selling Trump hats, Trump buttons, every single vendor because
Right.
I'm in Arizona and it's huge. I stopped by this one vendor and he had a bunch of JFK half dollar coins. And I bought a couple from him and he was like, Trump saved my life. And I showed him my book and I said, he didn't save your life. Um, he really didn't. Trump is a fake, and you really need to hear the real story
Yeah.
and wake up a little bit because it's all BS.
Yeah.
And he sat there and listened to me. I don't know why he was saying something about his medical, Trump approving something for medical or something like that. But they're all buying into their
Yeah.
plan, which is a bullshit plan.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was genius the way they did it, though. They had mystery, they were anonymous, they got the support of the people.
and
And,
they're running
we
off.
there are things going on behind the scenes that we don't know. There are things happening, but I
Well,
just
just my
believe,
story with
yeah,
the millions of dollars Trump helped steal from my family, and with the identity theft. Having Sotheby's auction off millions and millions and millions of dollars
yeah,
worth of my family's possessions
yeah,
right at Trump Tower. Um, it's huge. But what we don't know what they're doing. I know what they did to my family.
yeah,
I know what they did to Trump. I know, Robert Kennedy, and I know what they did. I was there. I lived it. Um, but what they're doing that we don't know, I know they've committed murder. I know they've committed identity theft, but how much money they're actually getting off of others that I don't know about could be millions and millions, and they're playing the part. It's all the same crime ring from Epstein to Diddy. I mean, Epstein with all the pictures of Trump and my body double Junior, all the pictures of him with Epstein, and then all the pictures of Trump. It's all the same crime ring. I was looking at photos from John Jr., the one that stole my identity at his wedding, and it's like criminal after criminal after criminal. The FBI, they go after when they want to get into the mafia, they go to weddings and they go to the funerals and they see all the family members there and they get their intelligence. All we have to do is look at the photos. They're all connected. It's all the same crime ring,
yeah,
and we need to put a stop to it. We really do.
yeah,
It's huge.
yeah.
It's huge.
Well, we've seen in the past few years all these CEOs stepping down, which is, a good thing. But isn't it interesting that many of them are selling off massive amounts of stock? Like they're getting a mitt full of money. And what, you alluded to last week is that a lot of these people have also been replaced. All right. So like, let's say Walmart, we're hearing that they're selling off all their Walmart stock, billions of dollars worth. Well, it's because the cabal basically is, theoretically out of money, and that's how they're getting their money. But
Yeah, well,
like,
the organization started Walmart.
yeah,
It's totally organized crime run. Walmart is 100% organized crime run.
yeah,
I lived it from Sam Walton. I knew Sam Walton. Sam Walton's the one that started Sam Club, and there's probably pictures of me as a kid with Sam Walton somewhere.
yeah,
But Hillary Clinton sat on the board of Walmart. If I had the knowledge or technology to follow the money trail, it is huge. Walmart and the Clinton Foundation, I'm sure, and everything. I mean, when you get the uh, first lady and Bill Clinton, and she was in charge of Walmart. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It
And
is.
then you had Sam Walton. Sam Walton's house almost burnt down, and his son died in a plane crash. Um, the same thing happened to Sam Walton that happened to me and my family. The same
Yeah,
exact thing, and they
yeah,
took all his money
yeah,
and kept running with it. They took it and expanded and kept expanding the money that they're making off of theft. Just like
yeah.
it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. And for anyone that's watched Walmart for years, you can see how the quality of everything has gone up, but the prices are going up, but the quality has dipped. And
Well, see,
you know,
When Sam Walton started Sam's Club, the theme was made in America.
yeah,
He wanted everything he sold in his stores made in America. He wanted it cheap, and he wanted to be able to put pallets on, right in the middle of the store, and you take the product right off the pallet, not on the shelf. And that was the theme: everything made in America. Now I went and bought a United States flag in Walmart like a month or two ago,
yeah,
and I got out to the car and I'm looking at it, it said "Made in China," and it's like Sam Walton would be rolling over in his grave.
yeah, yeah. It's something. So, so let's talk about 9/11. What do you know about 9/11? Like, do you know any of the people that were involved in it? Like, what's your theory about what happened there? Like, we all have our theories, and
Bush
most
and Cheney.
say what? Bush and
Um,
Cheney.
yeah, Bush and Cheney. It was all a plot.
Yeah,
See, this is what I know. I'm not making it up. I personally know this. There was an attack before 9/11. They blew up some vehicles in the basement of the World Trade Center. That blew off the concrete right off the structures. That was their plan to bring the building down. Well, their plan didn't work the first time, but it damaged the building just enough. It blew the concrete off.
right.
It tilted the World Trade Center just a tiny bit, just enough where the inspectors came in. I'm a fucking witness to this. They came in, they did their inspection, and they said these buildings have to come down. They have to be torn down. They are unsafe. So the terrorists won in the first place. So I'm an eyewitness to them telling the inspectors, fake your reports. You're either going to fake your reports or you're going to disappear. Straight up. So the inspectors faked their reports that the buildings didn't have to come down. So our CIA planned it to make them come down, make us start a war, and make us pay for the cleanup of the buildings having to come down in the first place. And that's what I personally know. I was personally there when they said fake the reports.
Wow. I haven't heard that before. Now,
I'm
what
a
I,
personal eyewitness. I
yeah,
was there. I seen it and I couldn't believe it. And when it happened, I was in total shock. But before that, before like 2 weeks before the World Trade Centers came down, I'm driving up 81 in Virginia in my mail truck, 18-wheel mail truck. I had a big American flag on the door, and these guys come up to the side of me. And I swear to this very day, it was Mohamed Atta, the one that planned the attacks. He was anyway, he had pock marks all over his face. He looked just like Mohamed Atta's pictures. But what he did to get my attention is he pulled right up next to me, and they just drove next to me. And I'm like, okay, these guys don't like the American flag on my door or something. I was wondering that at the time because they were like giving me dirty looks. Well, he grabbed a handful of garbage in his hand and he threw it out the window at the American flag on my door or at me or whatever. And that was 2 weeks before the attack. I don't know if it was him. I couldn't say, but to me it was him. And why they would do that, I don't know. It all has to do with MKUltra and pre-programming and getting these people to get in a plane and fly it into a building. It like I've said before, I've seen somebody get into a car and run into a brick wall with pre-programming. I've seen many things that aren't good, but it works. It can happen. It's even happened to me. So human beings can be pre-programmed to do things like that, and to commit suicide, it's huge. Um, to take your own life, you got to be programmed pretty hard to commit suicide, but it can be done. And
wow.
I think that programming is even being done to the 22 veterans that are killing themselves each and every day. I think they've been programmed while they were in the military to look in this one device. I know I looked into this one cylinder device. It's a big round spinning wheel with pictures, and it's got binoculars on the top. And it actually, when you look in it, it actually hypnotizes you. But what I saw was nothing but body parts and everything is spinning around, and those images go into your mind and your head. And after I looked in that, I don't know if it was like a year later, I could still see those images in my head. It's horrifying because they won't go away.
So
So
that's kind of how they like brainwash you, or how they, I don't know what the word would be, fragment your consciousness or whatever.
yeah, it was really hard because all I thought about was suicide. All I could see was these images, and it was the same as when I was looking in that device. I don't know much about it, how the programming works as far as the device and everything, but MKUltra is so real, and it can make somebody take their own life. It can make somebody fly a plane into a building. It really can. It's it's hypnosis, but it's deeper than hypnosis, and it's a part of warfare. It's a mental part of
Right.
warfare.
Right. And would you, I know, I'm going to ask, like, it's kind of a hard question to ask, but the average person is programmed by TV, the media, the social media now. Like, videos even can be negative and dark, but there's programming and like subliminal messages on our TVs and
Oh,
all.
it's in everything. It is.
Yeah.
They call it programming.
Yeah. Program.
What program is on TV now?
Yeah.
They're not shy about it. They're calling it programming. What's the
Yeah.
program?
Right out in the open.
Um,
So there is a
but
program.
it's in music, um, and you can listen to a song. I know when I was young, I listened to a lot of rock and roll, but after you listen to the song, it stays in your head
Right.
all day long. The next day, you're singing that song because it's in your mind. It's been planted in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
might be a great song and everything, but there's something that does that. That's how they can put out a song and it
Yeah.
can become a bestseller. In 6 months, they've already made millions of dollars. It's done to make money, and
I I know when I was younger, I would hear a song on the radio and I'd say, "Oh, I hate that song," right? They'd play it over and over and over and over and over till you love it. You know every word. And it's like, I always wondered about that. Like, how can I take a song I hate and all of a sudden love it? It doesn't make sense, right? So that's what
that's
they're
because you've
doing.
been programmed.
I've been programmed. Yeah, I remember that when I was like a teenager, you know?
It's like, how can you take somebody like Donald Trump, and when you wake up, you see what a real idiot he is. You see him bad mouthing everybody on stage. He's talking shit. He's talking shit to the news media, telling them to shut the hell up. You don't know what the frick you're talking, and he's being an asshole. And people are like, I love it. I really love him. But if once they wake up and hear my story and hear the truth and about everything, it's like I've had so many people say, "Wow, I supported Trump. Now he's just a jerk." But you got to wake up. You got to wake
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
We've all been lied to. We've all been programmed, and that's part of their program.
yeah. Yeah. So everyone's been programmed, and like that's why we call it awakening. We're just starting to realize that we've been programmed, and we're just really kind of seeing how big the program is, how complex it is, how insidious it is. It's crazy. And the
Sean Hannity of Fox News is a great example, wonderful example. Bill O'Reilly, and but there's photos of me as a child. Sean Hannity went to school when I was a child. Everybody was being programmed back then. Um, John was being programmed to steal my identity. They were building up Denzel Washington, but we were all 9, 10 years old. At the time we're supposed to be learning things, and these people are programming us, building these kids up to be in Hollywood films, to be in the media and the mainstream media. But it's all done years ahead when we were children.
right,
But it's
right.
all the same huge murder crime ring, and it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sean Hannity took the millions and millions of dollars instead of saying, "Hey, I know John was switched out. I went to school with him." He'd rather take the money, take the mansions and the millions of salary, and keep his mouth shut. because
Same with
they're programmed to tell us,
yeah,
through him what's going on. And it's
yeah,
all bullshit.
yeah. Well, you look at these politicians, let's say they're probably attorneys to start with before they go into politics, and they have some money, but when they go into politics, all of a sudden they're like millionaire billionaires. The money they've got all of a sudden out of the blue, through their investments or the companies they own or whatever, it's obviously illegal. And
Well,
it's
I remember when I was a kid, I think it might have been Caroline, the fake Caroline, but I was real young,
yep,
maybe in my early teens. But one of them said, we're all going to be lawyers because then we can be untouchable. We're all going to get careers as lawyers. That way we're untouchable. And who's lawyers? All of them. They all are. Bill
yep,
Clinton, Caroline, John Jr., the one that stole my identity, was a lawyer. And the list goes on and on and on. And I
right,
hate freaking
right,
lawyers.
yeah,
I can't stand them. They overcharge. It's sometimes you have to have one. It's like a monopoly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically for 9/11, you were there when the inspector said the building has to come down. It's tilting, it's not safe. And they were like, you're gonna have to change your paperwork or, you're gonna die, kind of, right?
Right, straight up.
Yep. So
Straight up.
then they planned we'll call it the attack on the World Trade Center that brought it down, but in a way that they could collect insurance, right? So that way they, instead of footing the
And
bill, they can
and
collect
they
it.
knew it was going to come down.
Yeah,
So what could have happened in between? They already had the date set. They already knew when it was all going to happen because they're the ones that planned it.
yeah,
They could have had so many people be there at that time purposely to get rid of them, to cover
yeah.
them up.
Well, they
They could
did.
have they could have told people, "Hey, go rent a building at the, under MKUltra, go rent a building at the World Trade Center. Do
Yeah,
your business there," just because they wanted them gone. I
yeah.
don't know. That's just my conspiracy theory. I do know they were coming down, but they had plenty of time to plan all the stuff in between, and I'm sure they did.
It's my belief that a lot more people died than we're aware of. You know what I mean? Because of the chaos and all the stuff that was going on. We don't really know how, like, I think we're told 3,000 died. I think there's a lot more that died in that accident than we're told. And I've
But
also,
that was no accident, though.
yeah, I've also, I've also heard that Bush Senior's brother owned a demolition company or security company or whatever. And he basically helped them plant charges, and like they had it all planned out like what you said. And it was all done so that they could collect the money. And of course there was loss of life and they didn't care. Just shows you what we're dealing
Yeah,
with.
and we had to pay for the cleanup.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So I was curious about, if you knew anything further about that. And there's a
It,
lot more to it. They, at that point, the day or so before 9/11 happened, they had disclosed that I think it was like 23, I want to say either billion or trillion were, missing out of our economy. They didn't know where the money went. And because of 9/11, it's like now it's a non-issues. No one's thinking about that. They're only thinking about, the building coming down and loss of life.
oh yeah, they're good at they our
Yeah,
media is controlled by a regime. It's no
yeah,
better than Russia, China,
yeah,
or any Iran, any of the other regimes that put out only what they're supposed to know in the news. We're
yeah,
that way now.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And
So people have a short memory. So like the general population, they're all freaked out about terrorists, right? Where we should be freaked out that 23 whatever billion or trillion is missing out of our economy. Like, where did that go? Like, how did you all of a sudden just notice that? That's a big thing, you know? And then I believe we were supposed to have a Nasara announced then, and on the day it was supposed to be announced, the buildings came down, so that didn't happen either. There were lots of reasons, so it'll be
they
interesting.
know how
Yeah,
they know how to plan you know, some things make
Yeah,
total news
yeah,
all day long, day after day for
yeah,
weeks, and
yeah,
they know how to manipulate it so
yeah.
that gets the only thing put on there, even though there's a lot more news out there that we need to know. We're not hearing it. I mean, Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash is a good example of that. Very good, because you know, COVID had just hit. Kobe Bryant was on the news all day and all night. It's a great example. It's a great example. And I was shown that footage. Crazy footage. Somebody sent me a YouTube. I mean, yeah, it was a YouTube video of Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash. I watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it. And this was right when it happened. I mean, right when it happened, they sent me a video of it. And I'm like, well, what's this video? So I watched it. And then I heard on the news that his helicopter crashed. Well, what the video was that they sent me was some hikers in the hills and this helicopter coming around the bend, and the tail rudder popped and blew off. And the helicopter went like this and rolled over and then went straight down, upside down. And the people, the hikers that were there, were screaming and crying. It was a bunch of girls, you could tell in the video. And then that was it.
Oh,
But I watched that video. I was looking for a missile that, you know, maybe a missile was shooting the tail rudder off when it came, because it came around and it was right about the mountain height. There was a little fog, a little clouds, but not like they said. Not it was total foggy. That's why they crashed. The tail rudder blew apart. I mean, boom. You could see it in the video. And I watched it. I watched it. I don't know how many times, 20 times.
mhm.
And an hour later, it was gone. I tried to share it. I actually tried to share that video. And when I went back to share it, it disappeared.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see the video where the helicopter kind of like goes sideways and someone falls out of it? Did you remember seeing that one?
Uh-uh.
Well, there's a video, I believe it's his daughter falls out of the helicopter and she's falling to her death, and something swoops in and picks her up. Yeah. That's
That's not the one. That's not the one I saw.
yeah, that's no longer
This one happened so fast and it spun upside down and crashed.
yeah,
Nobody fell out, so I don't know if it could have been doctored or what. But
yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, all these accidents, we're finding out all these major events in our history have been orchestrated, and they're much different than what we've been taught. Again, we've been programmed our whole lives. And that's why in history class, we learn the dates and we learn the key players and why they started the war and blah, blah, blah. Okay. None of that's true. None of that's true. And we don't even know what the truth is, but the truth is the bad guys are controlling the people. They want the money. The loss of life is a bonus to them. They don't care about the people.
they
It's
don't.
really
They have no
sad.
remorse. They have
They
no
don't.
feelings.
Yeah.
My sister was killed. When my sister was killed when she was a child, they have no remorse.
Yeah.
The children. I've one experience I had. I was young, and I had a fever. I was actually had me in the bathtub. I was burning up with fever. They put ice on me to cool the fever while I was in the bathtub. I got out of the bathtub, and this guy comes in and he has this other little girl in his arms, and her eyes are rolled back in her head. They were talking about how she had a fever. I remember them talking because I'll never forget her eyes just white in her head. But this was a young girl. I don't know, 10, 12 years old. They put her in the bathtub. Somebody said, go get some more ice. We need more ice. They were trying to chill her down because of her fever. And then they were talking about the other families poisoning us, which was me and this other little girl.
Ooh.
They they have, and I think the girl died. I really think that she didn't make it. Um, what that was all about, I was too young, but they have no remorse. They will poison children. They tried to poison me to get what they want. They killed my sister when she was a child. Um, what you hear about Epstein is just part of what they do. It's all about their blood. It's all about the satanic cult, blood in, blood out. They don't care. It's all about them. It really is. No remorse.
Wow. Wow. So you don't know who she was. You don't know her identity.
I
Yeah.
wish I did.
No.
There was another scenario right here in Bullhead City in the 70s when my mother was shot. I had just seen this young girl. I was talking to her at a picnic table. I didn't know who she was, but she was younger than me. I was 15 years old at the time. My guess is she was 9, 10 years old. Um, when they killed my mom, when they put a gun to my head and threw me in the back of that station wagon, she was thrown in the back of that station wagon too. She was ordered on the floor, and it's really mind screwing. It really is, because that federal agent came in. I've never seen him before, but he came in with his gun pointed at these guys, and he said, "I'm taking the kid," but he didn't get the girl. The girl wasn't there in the room. So what did they do with that little girl? It haunts me to this very freaking day. I don't know. I wish I had the answers. In 75, I wanted answers. Um, I really did. I wanted, I just watched my mom being shot. I wanted to kill him. I was 15 years old, but I was telling these federal agents, I want justice. I want to go kill these people. I want to get a gun and kill these people. But then they were like, there's nothing you can do. They will kill you. But yeah, there's so many scenarios that I've had to live through that when I think about them, it's like, what what could I wish I knew? I wish I knew, but I
Well,
probably never will.
I'm really sad that you had to go through all of that. Like most of us, we all have our traumas and our problems in life. You should never have gone through any of that. You know what I mean? And even if you lived we'll call it air quote regular life, it would have been like the potential that you have. It was kind of wasted. I mean, like you're clearly very intelligent. You know a lot of people. You've done a lot of things and all that, but it, they've wasted your life for you. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah, you could
they were
be,
probably told a few times that I was dead already.
yeah,
They wanted me dead. Some people tried to take my life away and
yeah,
probably lost their own. I mean, it was a mafia war. I know about plenty of hits and paybacks and every other thing.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
not,
I'm 63 years old. What's my life worth? My life had been stolen, billions of dollars, just millions and millions of dollars from, the Kennedys had more than you can imagine. They had huge, homes. Rose Kennedy, and they were all affected, being controlled by the mafia. Rose was. She knew that Rose Kennedy knew that there was a fake John, but she had to go to the program for some reason. Ted Kennedy knew about me. I talked with him, and he refused to help bring me out. So, what their motives? I wish I had the answers. Why they didn't help me, and they just kept going with the organized crime.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
there's so many questions I got that would probably never be answered.
yeah.
I just know that they knew, all the way to Marie Shriver. So many questions I have for these people. It's like, are they just afraid to come out? I don't blame them if they are, because these people kill people straight up. And there's, I've been trying to get my story out for years now, and it's not making headway. What about somebody that tries to go to our FBI for help? And it's a first mistake they can make, because they're not going to get help there. I learned that. They simply say, we don't want to talk to you.
Well, I don't mean to, I didn't mean to sound like your life was wasted. They took away a lot of your potential. They took it from you by controlling you the way they did. So you could have had a different life, a happier life, a less traumatic life. And I guess that's what I wanted to say. But
I got to the point where I walked away from my possessions so many times. I mean, being a truck driver, I could get a job anywhere because I had my driver's license, and when I was driving for all those years, everybody needed work. So I could pack up my bags and have no money in my pocket and have a job the next day where they're putting money in my hand. So that was a big plus, and I learned how to use that
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very helpful. I mean, if I thought there was an attempt on my life, or if there was an attempt on my life, I had one situation. I was a truck driver, and there was a big attempt on my life, and I ended up putting a gun to this guy's head and saying, you know, what's up? I think I shared this with you, but he was like, they got my children. They told me I had to kill you. And you know, I packed up and had to quit. It was a good job. I had only been there a couple of weeks. I don't even think I had a paycheck yet, but I just left and found another job. But it's hard when, you know, it is so hard, leaving everything that you don't even have anyway. But you know,
Yeah.
when you don't have much, what you do have means a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had to do that so many times.
Wow.
You know, if I had been a truck driver for so many years, if a dispatcher was sending me somewhere, and I would look at the paperwork and say, he's sending me to New York, and he's sending me on 8 stops, which is going to take me 3 days. And I'm a daily driver. How is that even going to possible? And it's like, that's just a hit. That's, you know, the signs are there. They're planning to send me to New York City and popping a cap in my head. Just, you know, somebody robbed a truck driver. So it was like, I just quit. I just said, hey, I don't want to take your load, and I'm done. And I'd move on to another job. So, you know, so many things like that that I had to do just for my safety. Not that it was going to happen, but when I would look at a situation like that, it was best for me not to do it because there was a price on my head. Organized crime wanted me dead, and I knew it.
Shocking. Shocking. You know, that this would happen in a modern day and time. You know what I mean? With a civilized people. That should never have happened to anyone, you know.
And I couldn't say nothing. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared to come out.
Who could you go to? You couldn't. You've gone to
I'd
the
already been to the
FBI.
FBI, and
Yeah.
they said, you
Yeah.
know, we can't talk to you, go away.
Yeah.
So who else was going to help me except me helping myself?
Yeah.
You know, you go to the local police and you say, you know, not that I told anybody back then, but what if I did go to the local police and say, hey, I'm John Kennedy, you know, I got a story to tell you about the murders. They would have said, you know, there's a mental clinic right down the street. Go check in down there. That's exactly what they would have said. And that's what exactly how organized crime works.
Yeah. Yeah. You really have to be strong and smart to have lived through all the circumstances you did and the traumas that you lived through. So, you know, like sometimes when you look back, you'll say, well, that was the best, worst thing that could have ever happened to me because it made you smart. Like now you know how to protect yourself. You feel the red flag when it's coming. When somebody's going to set you up, you feel it and you're aware of it. So
Yeah. And you know, all the danger every day, post-traumatic stress disorder, but every day I'm concerned.
yeah,
I had a dream last night that somebody shot me through this back window right here. That's just mentally mind screwing right there
yeah,
because here I am sitting here, and you know, there's a huge open field behind me where anybody could sit there, and but I still got to think about it. I mentioned my dream to Robin this morning. She's like, "You're not doing videos there no more." It's like it's all good, but it's still in my mind. So yeah, I mean, every day, it's and I've lived it every single, you know,
yeah,
every, but post traumatic stress disorder, it's all good. It's all good.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
always tell myself, it's all good.
yeah,
You know, God's gonna keep me until He doesn't want me no more,
yep.
and then it's all good too because I'm going to meet Him.
I love it. I love it. Well, you are here for the duration. You've got a great purpose. You've served a great purpose. You've had love in your heart and you've helped people. Even when you're down, you still helped people and supported others and cared and worried about others. You know, a lot of these guys, you know, if all this stuff had happened to them, they would have been like, I got to take care of myself, right? We all have
And
self-survival instincts or whatever, but you know, you've also worried about like this girl you're talking about. You've talked about her every single video. You're worried about her. It's upset you. And there's been so many other circumstances like that. And you have love in your heart. And so you're going to be around for a while because you know, there's a purpose for you to play, you know?
no, thank you.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I want my situation to change because There is so much we can do to help people that
Right,
aren't getting the help now.
right.
So I get comments from people all the time, and it's like I'm not in no position, I'm worried about trying to save my ass. But maybe, when my story goes world and we can start getting some justice, then maybe we can help. But right now, I don't mind hearing your stories and you sharing them with me, but don't plan on me saving the day at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's only so much, you can do without resources. And that's the problem. Like, I want to help more people too. I don't have unlimited resources. You know what I mean? Like, these billionaires could be out helping people, but that's not even their focus or their thought.
Well, you know what we need to do? We need to take our country back, and we need to take all this stolen money that these billionaires are sitting on and pay off the trillions of dollars this country owes, that they have put us into debt. It's huge, and these criminals allowed us to go in debt,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's to enslave us.
yeah, yeah.
It's plain and simple. It's to enslave us. We have no business borrowing $850 billion from China. No business whatsoever. If they offered to lend us money, we should have said, we don't need your money. We're America. But we took their money. And now we owe them. Our children owe them. We're born into slavery
Right.
and trillions. My father was president when he was killed in 63. If you look at the graph of our national debt, it was nothing. It was nothing.
Right.
And now, 60 years later, organized crime has taken over our government. It's through the roof. It
Right.
really is.
Right.
And if we could get rid of that debt and we could start, putting things back in Americans' pockets,
Yeah.
everybody's going to be
Yeah.
better off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the key is get rid of the identity theft, get rid of the criminals, get rid of the Bidens, get rid of the Trumps, get rid of the Obamas, get rid of the Clintons, get rid of them all. Don't let any of them freaking run. No criminals that we know of running for president, but we need to change the system. The system is so broke.
Totally.
These people have been allowed to be in office. We need a real commander in chief. And with that said, you know, everybody thinking John Kennedy Jr. is coming back to be vice president. I don't take backseat to nobody, none of them.
Boom. Yeah. Yeah.
You see what happened when my father took the backseat.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
ain't happening here,
Yeah.
especially Trump. There ain't no way. I'd be the one putting a cap in Trump and then becoming president. That's
Yeah.
how it works. If
Yeah.
I was vice president, and Trump was president, one cap and I'm president.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can't happen.
Yeah.
He might be a criminal, but I can't do that.
Yeah. So we had a question last week. Did you ever meet Walt Disney, or like, we know you've been involved with Hollywood, and I think you put out on your YouTube channel, was it the Doris Day show? Like, you were like a little kid fishing on the dock or something?
Yeah, actually, in the movie, um, I got the CD here. This is me as a kid there, and then this is me as a kid there. But I was actually in the movie. I'm on the movie poster in another country. Um, but yeah, Doris Day and Brian Keith, and what they did was they were screwing my head up so bad back then. So Doris Day and Brian Keith had me on the set. We had a bedroom on the set, bunk beds on the set. And it was like my new family. So I got comfortable for a couple of weeks with Doris Day and Brian Keith while they were practicing their lines for the movie. But I became part of the family. So when they filmed it, it was natural. But it sure screwed up my head really bad.
Did someone explain to you what acting was? Like, did you understand that, or?
Oh, I was taught everything I did. I was told how to do it.
Yeah.
Over and over again, always told what to do,
Yeah.
what not to do.
Yeah.
I was controlled. Everything I did, I was controlled.
Yeah.
But I had done it so many times. I was just, I hung out with John Wayne. I hung out with Charles Bronson. Some of these guys aren't very nice, but well, they weren't back then. Lee Marvin. Um, and it all goes back from the cowboy days. I worked on the sets and I worked on a set. Judge Roy Bean was the name of the movie, and my job was to feed the bear. I wasn't in the movie, not that I know of, but I would feed the bear. The bears eat dog food. I had a big sack of dog food. I'd feed the bear, and they pretended they killed the bear in the movie. So I'm sitting there taking care of this bear for a couple of weeks, and then in the movie they killed the bear. But yeah, um, I worked on a lot of sets. Um, John Wayne, I met many people for many weeks. It's like they
Yeah,
were babysitting me. They were teaching me many things.
yeah. So did you ever meet Walt Disney or have any interaction
Um,
with him or his people?
I believe I was real young when I did.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know all the things, but I really don't. I think I was there when I was real young. What was that show? The Mouseketeers. It was actually a show.
yeah,
Annette Funicello was very famous for that.
yeah.
But I believe I was real young and very vague memories of where I sat in with the Mouseketeers once.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah,
But
because
Hollywood, I mean, it's huge. Um,
he was set up with his theme parks. You know, the CIA helped him set that all up. Again, for the same nefarious reasons all of those big places were, and just curious what interaction you might have had there.
yeah, not a whole lot.
Yeah,
Not not
yeah.
not enough
Interesting.
to.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, a question again from someone last week. Did you ever meet Michael Jackson? Everyone's very interested in Michael Jackson.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Wow.
Yeah, actually, I believe he's the one that smuggled my crown across the border. Michael Jackson was huge into antiques.
Oh,
Um, he didn't like me. Michael Jackson did not like me because he was told I was the one stealing all his money from him.
oh,
And I even talked to him on the couch. I said, I'm living in poverty, dude. And but he had some really funny ideas. They were stealing everything. I mean, he was controlled by organized crimes from a young age.
yeah.
So he was totally controlled. But yeah, I really don't know much, but before he started losing it, they actually, I believe it was my crown, sacrificed a chicken in the backyard. Um, really crazy things. But he didn't like me. He thought, by what I understood, I was the one stealing all his money from him.
Okay.
He was making millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars off his things. I know I believe it was a total setup when his hair caught on fire and he sued Pepsi for all that millions and millions and millions of dollars. I believe that was just a total setup just so he could sue Pepsi for millions and millions of dollars. Other than that, I didn't know him. He was a great entertainer when he was young, but he got he got controlled by organized crime.
So he was also under control, just like pretty much
Oh
everyone. Yeah.
yeah,
Many of the celebrities are, of course, they're controlled. They're placed where they are, and if they don't play ball, they're replaced by a double or whatever. We already know that.
and
We're seeing it more and more and more and more in the public out there.
and I did know Elizabeth Taylor, which was one of Michael Jackson's best friends. Um, I was with Wayne and Elizabeth Taylor. I believe she got off a boat, but she was with somebody, and Wayne said, "Why don't you marry my kid here?" But I knew her because if you remember the blue diamonds and all that. Anyway, she married this one guy. She got famous for marrying guys and taking all their money, but she ended up with a fortune in blue diamonds. So I think that was kind of the joke at the time. Hey,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, why don't you marry my kid here?
Wow.
I don't. they're all connected, and I've met a lot of people for just a few moments,
Yeah.
um, just enough to know they're all in organized crime.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. Any other stories you wanted to share? Like we've talked a little bit about the corruption and the crime out there, and like pretty much we're seeing it happen real time now. With the internet, we're seeing, like last week we had a barge crash into the bridge, and of course we're being told a line there. So what we're being told is not true. There's a reason that it happened that we don't know about. We're seeing the CEOs step down, celebrities lose weight, gain weight, this or that. We're seeing
If
all sorts of stuff happen. And
if
now
we
the
lose
pedophilia is coming out. So that's
if
good.
we yeah, if we lose any more bridge structures, that's one of the first thing you do in war is you take out all
Yeah.
the bridges and things like that. So if any more come up like that, we all need to be concerned
Yep.
that the invasion of the United States is going to be coming soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, in war, that's one thing you do first is you take out the bridges.
Yeah. I see they're putting Niagara Falls in a state of emergency for the 8th of April, which is the eclipse day. So they've already declared that because they're afraid of an attack. Of course, what does that do? It gets the population nervous and jerky, right? And
I'm always concerned. The United States government has been taken over
yeah,
straight up with fake people, fake running the show.
yeah,
So what the plans are, I'm very concerned.
yeah,
I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, and people, good American citizens need to protect themselves and their families. So if you don't have a weapon to protect, get one and stock up on ammunition. You know,
Well, we were taught when we were kids that this, we're talking about the US. Of course, every country has their own thing, but this was the land of the free, that we were free. We could speak our mind. We could run around and do whatever we wanted as long as we weren't harming others. I mean, that's implied. But when
yeah.
when your eyes start to open, you realize how not free we are. We think we
Freedom.
are. Mm-mm.
Freedom is not free. So many people have died, lost their lives, their loved ones' lives, trying to keep us free.
Yeah,
But we're nowhere near free right now.
yeah,
Nowhere near free.
yeah.
We're born into slavery. Um, it's huge what they've done to us. Anywhere, nothing is free. Nothing.
Yeah. And it's all about money. Everything is about money and control of the population. So the population is there. We're the workers. We have to comply. We have to pay the fees, fines, interest, whatever the rate is. It's like I don't know how the average person can survive anymore. It's
Yeah,
really getting
it's really
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
And my whole life, here and there, I have always heard these powerful people talking about population control,
Yeah.
and it's always got to me. They think that if the population gets so big that they have to eliminate some.
Yeah.
They have to have wars where hundreds of thousands of people are killed. Um, it doesn't comprehend in my mind. I guess it
Oh,
does in theirs, but I've heard that phrase many times.
right. Well, it's just like we think we can control the deer population by culling the herd or whatever it might be. We think we know a broader perspective, but do we? I don't think we do. And I know that they don't. We
And
would we're supposed to be here for a reason. We have a reason to be here.
Mother Nature takes care of herself. She
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
When people start screaming, "Oh, we're in a drought," or save water, don't run your spigot. Water's precious. This whole world's covered in water. But Mother Nature always,
Yeah.
if California's drying up, Mother Nature turns around. Next thing you know, they're screaming, "Oh, we got flooded out yesterday." It always takes care of itself. People worry too much.
That
People
is
worry too
true.
much.
That is true. Yeah. Any other stories you want to share today?
I was thinking a lot lately about Harrison Ford's, last time we were talking about plane crashes.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this in a video or a live. Harrison Ford's plane crash. He had an old World War II plane that crashed on a golf course. He took off one morning, and it was a two-seater. Um, I myself believe, call it a conspiracy theory, but his fuel filter was clogged. I believe it was a total attempt on Harrison Ford's life by this organized crime world, and I'm just glad he is okay. But Henry's going to look into that, and I hope many others investigate Harrison Ford's, because it was a two-seater plane, and he was in the back seat that day.
When was this? Because I actually don't
It was
know.
about 10 years ago,
Okay, okay, sorry. And
maybe
and
maybe 12 years ago. I'm not sure the exact date or anything, but yeah, about 10 years ago.
why do you think they would be after him? Like, do you think he owed them money? Like,
Probably strong arm tactics, wanted him to pay up. Maybe they wanted to replace him with a body double, kill him, and have a new Harrison Ford and take all his millions of dollars. I've always liked him. I've met him a couple times. Um, but yeah,
wow.
I've had that real heavy on my mind. Um, that was a definite, because they love plane crashes. They love helicopter
Yeah.
crashes. I've been in a couple myself, and
Yeah, yeah.
but that
Who
one's sticking in my mind.
who can dispute a plane crash, right? Now, what would your theory be about, like, say, John Denver? He supposedly flew his,
He was killed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. Okay, so yeah, he had a plane
He
crash.
didn't want to go with the. They're worth more dead. I don't know the statistics, but I can guarantee you, John Denver sold more records when his plane crashed.
Oh,
Guarantee it. He made more money after he was dead than alive. So it goes back to the contracts on his, music and every other thing. But yeah, just by what I remember back then, he was killed. He didn't want to go
wow.
with the program. He didn't want to pay up. If you don't want to pay up, if you don't want to pay organized crime, and they're that powerful, and you don't pay up, they take your money anyway, one way or another. So it's
And
kind of like you don't pay up, they don't get their money, they kill you, then they get their money.
yeah. And if they can, they put a double in your place to
To
carry
keep
on
on
the,
keeping on.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
tell you how to spend it and where to spend it. If you buy something, you get scolded that you're not supposed to be buying because you're under control of organized crime now.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I suspected that too. Way back when, I assumed it was a natural or an accidental, I guess you would say, plane crash. But now that I know what I know, it's when I think of these things, I'm like, they're after
They
him.
can they
Yeah.
control the feds. The feds are the ones that do the plane and helicopter crashes and do the investigation. So it's so easy for them to cover it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's organized crime doesn't like to use guns. They don't like to just come up and kill you. They would rather see you crossing the street and get hit by a car, or an accidental plane crash, or an accidental helicopter crash, or a heart attack, natural causes.
Right.
They just don't walk up to you and shoot you. They would rather have it plain and simple. Oh, he had a stroke.
Yeah. 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 It makes it easier for them because they have to pay off the police and all the agents and this and that. They have to keep them under wraps as well.
Yeah, they let them have there's so many little crime organizations. My cousins that tried to have me killed in San Diego, that weren't really my cousins, but Max Quigley said they were my cousins. Um, I think they got him right out of prison, pulled him right out of prison. Maybe they said, "Hey, we'll get you out of prison, but we want you to do a job for us when you get out." That they everything is controlled. It's all scare tactics, strong arm tactics, money. But there's so much involved. There really is. And that FBI Ted Gunderson. Um, if you viewers can Google and watch Ted Gunderson's videos, he's exposing the same thing I am. He was, in charge of the FBI, and he came out exposing what's really the child trafficking, the control of children, and how our FBI is controlled by organized crime. Our Secret Service is controlled. He even mentioned my father, that he knew it was done by our government, and he was trying to expose that. And then he passed away when he was getting all wound up. Cancer, they love cancer too. It's actually just poison, you know. But yeah, he was really trying to expose these criminals,
Right,
and
right.
he lost his life, as far as I'm concerned, trying to do it.
Well, yeah, and you can understand these celebrities, the ones that are like organically famous, let's call it. Okay, they're not placed where they are. They've got talent, and they try, and they somehow get discovered, and then they're threatened. It's either like, do it this way or basically die, or we'll get your family or whatever. I
Yeah.
feel sympathy for them, like, and I don't understand it, but I feel sympathy for them.
I do too. I wish see, I met so many people in Hollywood,
Yeah,
like Harrison Ford. I wish he would say, I know, I know David Quigley, the real John Kennedy. I wish some of these musicians that I've met, so many of them have passed away now, but if they would help bring my story out, it would go world so fast.
yeah,
It would just blast off. But I don't know if they're not hearing it, they're not getting it, or if they're afraid. I don't know the circumstances, but it would only take a handful of the
yeah,
people I've met. That
yeah,
that's what I thought. I really thought, because they were taking me around. Tom Hanks would do a movie, I would be there. Some of these movies that I would show up on the set, and if all these people I met decided to bring me out and share my story to the world, where we could make a better place, it would happen overnight like that.
yeah,
If I could have, like on the Tonight Show, if I could have the list of everybody they've had on the show and just call them all up and say, share my story, boom, it would be world overnight. But that's why I thought was going to happen by me meeting all these people. Um, I was introduced to so many people, and I don't know why, but I was.
they're all in the same club. They
Whether
can't,
they know it or not, they are. Yeah,
yeah, and they can't
they're
do it.
all on David Letterman's little black book.
Yeah, they can't do it. You can understand, like, when you have a bigger picture, they can't do it. That's why what I said a couple times ago is, it's got to be a grassroots movement. It's got to be the people. This has got to come from the people, the regular people. And that's why, I didn't show the book, sorry, but the
Oh,
fact that you wrote this is amazing, by the way. If those that don't have the book, please buy Stolen Identity, which is, like Smarty says, a perfect name for what happened to you and your family. But this is what we've been basing our conversations on, is the stories in the book, the stories that you've been, able to share, and your experience in this really convoluted protection program, which was really an indoctrination program. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
Okay.
thank you for sharing
Yeah.
the book. This is a huge achievement for me,
Yeah.
because I was told I would be killed. I was told by federal government agents, if I shared my story, I wouldn't be killed. Now it's out. There's no denying it. It's out. What's next? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going to happen tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll get it out even further to more people. But it's out now. There's so many copies out now.
Yeah.
They can't deny it. They
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. The fact that they, like, if you open this and just look up a random story, they're like little quick, easy to read stories. It's shocking that they got away with all of this stuff under all of our noses. Like we're all
And
being
there's a
locked
lot
up.
more they get away with.
Yeah.
There really
Yeah.
is.
And you're
It's
just
so
telling it
much.
from your perspective, your experience. So if we get everybody that's had these experiences together, and a lot of you have, cross-pollinated the story, like you've had similar stories, similar experiences, maybe the same people. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that book was actually written by Jackie Goldman,
Yep.
and she said she watched all my videos for years. We sat and talked just like me and you are.
Yeah.
We chatted, told stories. She'd ask me questions, and then she wrote the book from there.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to read it the first time. I had tears in my eyes. It took me a few days. I didn't want to read it.
Yeah.
I read a few first couple chapters. I was like, I don't want to. So I think for a day, I didn't even bother to read it anymore, to proofread it,
Yeah.
um, because it was so in my head traumatizing. And
Yes.
like, I can't believe I had to live through all this. But it's out now. And I hope everybody gets a copy. I really do. I hope they share it
Yeah.
every which way they can.
Yeah.
Because
It's
I'm supposed to be dead right now because I wrote that book and I'm still alive, breathing, and I plan on sharing to millions and millions of people. I'm not going to quit.
Thank you for not quitting. Thank you for getting the story out. But, like I said, it is a great accomplishment, but this is like a tangible thing that we can, like refer to and see that, you're not the only one this stuff has happened to. It's out there. It's coming out in our public eye. It's real. It's horrific and it needs to stop. And so who's going to stop it? Are we going to all just sit around and wait for someone to stop it? No, we have to get the information out there. We have to share. And I don't know what goes on from there. I kind of have my suspicions what will happen, but we have to share the content and the information out there.
And I've already got messages from so many people that have gone through similar things, and I can just imagine how many Hollywood kids went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And I hope they join me. I know Corey Feldman. I believe it's Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
He's trying to share how bad things are. I actually knew him. I would love to hook up with him and start sharing, stories together. There's so many people like that I would love to hook up with and start blasting this out to the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
my father was president of the United States. What a better example than me.
yeah. Yeah. And well, he's recently come back out again. Like he tried about let's say 4 or 5 years ago, he did a video or a movie, and they kept taking it down from the internet. So people would subscribe to watch this movie and they'd take it down. And so his story
Kind of like they
is
do with us.
yeah, 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 that's true. But he's coming back out. Like I just saw something recently from him, and I'm really glad he's still out there. But in one of the interviews, he says, "Why is it just got to be me?" Like the thing is, if a lot of little people start telling the story, it becomes more solid. It becomes more cohesive and tangible, and then people start to believe it more. Then they start to share it. Then it's a conversation. It grows. It just is taking a little time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll get her
I
done though. We'll
I
get her done.
thank you for again. It's got to be difficult to talk about the trauma all the time, and I think we're past a lot of that. At least you and I are, but I thank you for sharing your story, and I thank you for hanging in there,
Oh, I
unless
sure
the person,
appreciate you. I really,
unless,
really do.
unless a person might not have still been with us. So I thank you for that. We're going to be talking again on the 16th of April it'll be 3 o'clock Eastern on the 16th, if you want to mark your calendar and share it
I
around.
sure will, and I'll
Yeah.
share it to as many people that'll listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Most
thank
definitely.
everyone for watching, and thank you, John, so much.
Thank you, Sue.